What's up, guys? Fan 101 here, and this is my NXT Takeover Brooklyn IV review. I did not get this up yesterday because A, I didn't have the time. B, if I did, I just wouldn't have been up to it. I had to get my bike fixed. SummerSlam started super early at where I live. It started at 2 o'clock. Heck, in the next 56 minutes after at 5 o'clock, which is about an hour from now, as of recording this, I got Raw to watch. So I'm gonna try to make this as a little bit faster than usual. And I'm trying to condense my reviews so that way they're not hours long or an hour long for a takeover show that's 5 matches. So let's get it out of the way here. Overall, NXT Takeover, a great show. I mean, we've had these shows for 4 years now. Is there going to be a show that's not great? I think every show has been great. Even NXT Arrival, their first special, that was very good. It was experimenting, and even that show had some fun stuff. It had Cesaro and Sami Zayn, so of course they're going to have great matches on it. But yeah, every takeover has been great. And big shock, it beat SummerSlam. Not really a big shock, but still, it beat SummerSlam in terms of a better show. I don't know, by the way, guys, I'm seeing on my camera here, I don't know if you're seeing a glare. It seems very bright right here. It's because I'm recording this in the family room. There's a window up above the front door. The front door is literally to my right. And there's a window up there that has no... it's got no drapes or anything, or no blinders. So you're just gonna have to deal with the brightness, but I'm in full, okay. I'm okay. I'm not like too bright, so I think you'll be we'll be okay. So NXT Takeover 4, great show. We started off the show with what I thought was a great match. Well, what a lot of people thought. It was the NXT Tag Team Championship match. It was the Undisputed Era, which was Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly against Moustache Mountain, which was Trent Seven and Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate, he's friggin' my age. In fact, he's actually like 6 months younger than me, which is just incredible to think about. These guys had yet another great match. They had their first match at the UK show. I think it was like a month and a half back. That was when the second UK tournament reached its climax. And their second match was on NXT TV, which was greater. I thought that was their best match. This is their second best. They had another great match. And there's not really much to really say about it other than, I guess, a couple spots here and there. What can I say? These guys went out there and blew it out of the water yet again. Tyler Bate is unbelievably strong for a guy that's small. I mean, I'm gonna say it right now. If the day comes that he leaves the UK division and he goes to the main roster and they screw him up like they have with so many guys, then he's a shoo-in for the Cruiserweight division. I mean, think about the matches that Tyler Bate could have with guys like Drew Gulak and Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali. Those matches would be amazing. Even a match like with Hideo Itami, that would be a nice hard-hitting match. Trent Seven, I think, is overlooked because Tyler Bate is just that great, but Trent Seven, not a slouch at all. Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, they've really grown as a tag team. I'm more familiar with the Red Dragon team, which was Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish in Ring of Honor and New Japan, and they were a great team over there. I gotta admit, though, I'm a little bit more than impressed with Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly as a tag team. I'm not saying team of Fish and O'Reilly aren't great, because they are. But they only really had one tag team match, and then Fish got hurt soon afterwards. So, that kind of sucks. The match itself was great. They did kind of like a retread of the finish they did with their second match. That was the match when Trent Seven was in, I think it was like a half crab, a half Boston Crab. He had a knee worked over, and Tyler Bate couldn't get involved because the referee didn't allow him, and he threw in the towel. They did a retread of that, except this time it was Tyler Bate in the submission hold, and Trent Seven was the one who almost threw in the towel. Instead, by he I mean Seven, he threw the towel out in the crowd. I hope there wasn't any sweat on that towel, and he basically interfered anyway because, you know, screw the referee, I guess. There were moments here when Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, and both of them as a team hit their finishers. Tyler Bate had the Tyler Driver on, I think it was Kyle O'Reilly. O'Reilly kicked out. Trent Seven hit the, it wasn't the Gory Special. No, yeah, that's a move that Roderick Strong does. But his I forget the name of his move. It's basically the discus lariat that he does. And I think it was he hit on Roderick Strong. He kicked out. And then later in the match they hit their finish. Now, I do forget what the name of their finish was. It was the, I remember what it was. It was the, it was like, I forget, they don't have a name for it, but it was the Doomsday Burning Hammer. That's when Trent Seven has the guy up in a burning hammer position, and basically a torture rack, and Tyler Bate jumps from the top rope, hits a knee on the head, and then Trent Seven transitions that into the burning hammer. Although Roderick Strong kicked out, Kyle O'Reilly was out on the floor. The finish came, and that was a great near fall, by the way. The finish came. They were gonna go after O'Reilly, but I mean, maybe they hit on O'Reilly. Yeah, they hit the move on O'Reilly. Roderick Strong was on the outside. He came in to save O'Reilly. He hit a chop block on Tyler Bate, and then they did the high-low finish when Roderick Strong goes for the sick kick, and Kyle O'Reilly. I'm getting tongue twisted here. And Kyle O'Reilly goes for the sweeping leg kick thing. I will admit that finish was pretty sudden. Not the fact that I don't like the finish. I do. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Aside from that, this match was awesome from beginning to end. I mean, my lord, this tag team match was great. I thought the tag team division, they were gonna be a little bit screwed when teams like the Revival and Revival went up, American Alpha went up, and DIY broke up, and then Authors of Pain left. But you know, we got some pretty good teams. Not just with these two guys. We got the Mighty, which, if you haven't seen them in the Indies, they're a great team. I don't know what's going on with the Mighty right now. We have the Street Profits, who, I mean, I keep thinking Steve Cutler. I don't know why I'm thinking Steve Cutler. But they have, they're pretty good. And then we have, for whatever reason, I want to call them the Beefy Boys. Otis Dozovich and Tucker Knight. I forget what their team name is at the moment. But Beefy Boys. Wow. And then of course we have the next team right here, because after the match, the War Raiders attacked. They attacked O'Reilly and Strong, and they hit Thor's hammer, which is basically like that's the one when Raymond Rowe goes for a back suplex and I was about to say Stan Hansen. Hansen goes up for a leg drop off the top rope. That's called the Thor's Hammer. And there we have our next feud. I'm pretty sure the Undisputed Era, they're probably losing the championships at the Survivor Series takeover. I forget what that one's called. Next, that was a great match. Next match was probably the weakest match on the show. It was EC3 versus the Velveteen Dream. This was a weird feud building up. EC3, despite debuting as a heel, is playing babyface in this feud. I don't know if he'll be playing babyface in the feud for very long. I think it was just for this one feud, and then soon afterward, EC3 is going to be a heel. Because EC3 was infinitely better as a heel than a babyface. Velveteen Dream came out. His tights were just friggin' hilarious. It said, on the Dream's ass, it said, "Call me up, Vitz." As hilarious as that is, I hope the Dream stays in NXT for another 5 years. Only because... I hate to sound morbid, but Vince will probably be dead by then, and he won't have a chance to screw up with the Velveteen Dream. These guys had I say worst match of the show. It was still a pretty good match. These guys had a pretty good match, nice back and forth. It started out strong, and dang. The Dream went for he did his DDT. He did the DDT on the steel part of the ramp. It was sick. I mean, wow. I mean, it looked like it was sick. EC3 was then pushed into the ring post, which of course didn't help things. Dream kind of took over from there, and this is where the match started to slow down. Not that it was boring. I'm not going to say it was boring, because it wasn't. It was fun. But it did start to slow down a little bit here. I don't know if any of you caught this, but the Dream went for not the Dream, but EC3 went for like a neck snap. It was a Kurt Hennig Mr. Perfect style neck snap. It was actually pretty awesome. I don't know if anybody else caught that. Finish of the match came when, before that, I have to mention this. I noticed this when EC3 hit a superplex off the top rope to the Dream. Dream got his pants ripped. His tights ripped right where his balls are. I was afraid we were going to be seeing the Dream's little dreams. That would have been bad. It would have been almost as bad as when AJ ripped his tights back at TLC a couple years ago in his match against Dean Ambrose, and we saw the left side of his ass. That would have been bad. If we would have seen the Dream's little dreams dreaming in the night. That was bad. I'm sorry. Anyway, the finish came when EC3. I think he went for an EC3. Basically the, not a Death Valley driver, that's Dream's move. He went for the TKO on the apron, and the Dream hit a rolling Death Valley driver, or Dream Valley driver, on the apron. He then went up to the top rope, hit the Dream elbow, on EC3, on the apron. That was pretty cool. And of course, Velveteen rolled him back in the middle of the ring and pinned him. I thought this was a fun match. The middle, you could have cut a few minutes out of the middle if they weren't going to do balls to the wall action. I would have cut the match down a few minutes. But aside from that, this was a pretty good match. Not great. Weakest on the card, yes. But this was a pretty good match. After this, we saw Matt Riddle in the crowd. It's been confirmed that Matt Riddle has signed with NXT. So, yeah, so we do have, and I watched Matt Riddle and reviewed some of his matches in WCPW. It's the only time I really got to see Matt Riddle. He's great. He's a great wrestler. He picked us up like no time, from MMA to wrestling. Let's hope he does good. I think he will, so long as he doesn't do weed so much, because the guy's a weed smoker. So, next up, we had the NXT North American Championship match. It was Adam Cole defending his title against Ricochet. I was a bit worried going into this match, only because I heard there were rumors, and from what I read online, possible reports that Ricochet was working hurt. He wasn't 100%, and it's the clock you're hearing chime. Anyway, he wasn't 100%, and I was worried, like, okay, maybe he'll lose, or maybe he'll win and take time off. I was still predicting a Ricochet win. I didn't think Adam Cole was gonna win, but there was a chance of it. And besides, Ricochet, not even at 100%, is still great. So let's get out of the way. This was a great match. A lot more grounded than I thought it was going to be. Because knowing Ricochet, the guy loves to fly. And he did fly several times in this match. But it was a lot more grounded than you would think it was. It shows that Ricochet is not just a high flyer. He's not one of those guys who does high flying and absolutely nothing else. He does flips. He doesn't just do flips. He does do mat-based wrestling. He does know how to work different styles. It's just that he, high flying is his bread and butter. There's things he can do in that ring that nobody else can do. Ricochet, I really hope you're not hearing what I'm hearing. I think I'm hearing like a ringtone. Ricochet, he, my mom's listening to a video on tablet. I hope it's not too loud. Ricochet, there was a really cool spot. Ricochet went for basically a lion salt, a moonsault off the middle rope, and I think what happened, he super kicked Adam Cole, or he got him down for a second. He went to go for a lion salt, basically, a moonsault off the second rope in the ring. And Adam Cole hit a super kick. On the first glance, a picture-perfect super kick right in the face. On the replay, it looked he got him really more in the neck and jaw. But, man, he got him. He got him good. It was awesome. Ricochet at one point went for not exactly a Phoenix Splash. I think it was a Phoenix Splash, actually, which was, of course, looked good. He had a reverse Rana. The finish came when he had a reverse Rana. He went up to the top rope. Adam Cole rolled away. He went towards the apron. Ricochet, he ran from one side of the ring to the other. He jumped over the top rope and hit a Rana from the apron to the floor. That was pretty awesome. And then Ricochet threw Cole back in the ring, went for the 630 splash, and got the win. This was a great match. I mean, like I said, Ricochet and Adam Cole, both these guys are great. I know some people have been saying Adam Cole, they're not seeing what makes Adam Cole great in this match, in NXT so far. And to be fair, he hasn't had the amount of great matches that he has had in Ring of Honor, or some of the guys he's worked with for New Japan. But it's still Adam Cole, and he's still very, very good. He's still great. So, screw off with that crap. It's not like the guy's bad. And you can't just say, oh, Ricochet carried him. He didn't carry jack anyone. He didn't carry no one. Both these guys were just great wrestlers, and they went in there and did what they did best. And only 15 minutes. Think about if this match would have won about 10 minutes longer. It would have been even that much better. So, great match. We have a new champion. Ricochet is... I hope Ricochet is a long-term North American champion. I could see him going from, takeover to takeover this time of year. SummerSlam takeover to SummerSlam takeover back-to-back. Or if not then pretty close. Because I could see this guy being champion for a few months. At least up until the Royal Rumble. Have some great matches with several guys, like the Velveteen Dream. Go back to that, maybe. I wouldn't mind it. Next match was the NXT Women's Championship match. It was Shayna Baszler defending against Kairi Sane. The story of this match was these two were 1-for-1 in singles matches. Kairi Sane beat Shayna Baszler, of course, in the Mae Young Classic last year. And Shayna beat Kairi Sane, I want to say a few months later in late 2017, maybe early 2018 when it aired. she beat Sane in a singles match on NXT TV. So they built this up as they were going one-on-one. Shayna Baszler is a lot more ruthless and a lot better, which she is, than she was even a year ago. And Sane was sort of the underdog, but she's like, I've beaten you before, I know I can do it again. It's important to note at ringside, Ronda Rousey, I think it's Miranda Shafir, and Jessamine Duke were at ringside. And remember, they were, of course, part of the UFC 4 Horsewomen. And so they were at ringside. They were, of course, cheering Baszler and probably booing Sane whenever they were doing something. This was a great match. This, I think, was the best Kairi Sane has looked since the Mae Young Classic, and the best Shayna Baszler match I've seen yet. These two worked a very smart match. There was bits of selling. Baszler being a bully, which of course is also part of the story. She's been a bully for the women's division for months and months now, even when she wasn't champion. Sane worked. She was selling a hurt knee pretty early in the match, and you could tell as it was going along, it was torturing her. Sane did fight back, and they just went in there and just beat the shit out of each other. I mean, these women almost in a sense tore each other apart. Especially Baszler ripping Sane a new one. I keep saying Sane, I'm thinking Sami Zayn. No. Shayna Baszler was not beating up Sami Zayn, as believable as that might be. Great, now I got that image in my head. Sami Zayn in the women's division. He should be back in NXT if this is what they're doing with him, the whole Bobby Lashley thing. Anyway, later in the match, pretty late in the match, Sane went for an insane elbow off of the middle rope on Shayna Baszler's back. Then she went back up for another insane elbow, hit it full time, and on the chest of Baszler. Baszler kicked out. Baszler, I think what happened was, she went back. I think oh no, wait, no. What happened was she went for the insane elbow on the back. Then Baszler rolled out to the floor. Then she had a high cross body from the top rope to the floor, which was really cool, by the way. Then she hit the insane elbow for what was a pretty good near fall. Pretty great. Baszler. First, Kairi Sane was also doing a new submission. I looked it up. It's called the Anchor. It doesn't really look that painful. I'm going to say that right now. If out of all the submission holds I've seen people do, this is up there with the bastardized version of Chris Jericho's Walls of Jericho in WWE. How it looks like it doesn't hurt at all. This submission doesn't look like it hurts at all. It doesn't look like it at all. But she went for the new submission. It's called the Anchor. The only time it looked painful was when Baszler was on the ropes and she used the ropes to her advantage. That was pretty good. Baszler at one point locked a heel hook. Sane countered out of for an anchor, which I admit was actually pretty good. She went for the I think it's called the Kira Fuda clutch. Sane got the elbow. Got to the ropes. Ending of the match came when Sami Zayn. Great, now I'm going on the Sami Zayn thing. Shayna Baszler. Kairi Sane hit Shayna Baszler with a Alabama Slam. She went for the top rope for an insane elbow. Baszler blocked by putting both of her feet up on basically the arm of Kairi Sane, which I have to admit was a pretty cool visual. She went for the Kira Fuda clutch again, but as she was going down on the mat to lock the legs in, Sane moved backwards onto her head basically and pinned and pinned Shayna Baszler for the win. That, I thought, was a very good finish. If I recall correctly, Bret Hart did the same thing to Roddy Piper at WrestleMania, I think it was WrestleMania 8, which was by far the best match Roddy Piper ever had, by the way. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a callback, and it was a great finish too. Kairi Sane beat this bully that is Shayna Baszler. I thought that was a lot of fun, and this was by far, like I said, Baszler's best match. This is the best Sane has looked since coming to, not even since coming to the Mae Young Classic, since WWE, she came to WWE, period. This is her best match in WWE so far. That, to me, is probably a big endorsement. Hopefully she'll have some pretty good matches. She should. I mean, there are some talented women on the female roster. If there's any idea of who she's going to lose it to, I'm predicting it's probably going to be Bianca Belair. That's my guess. So I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying it's a good chance of it. It's a great match. Go check it out. It's important to note, though. Actually, it's important to note that after the show was over, there was an interview that was put up on WWE's Twitter account and probably on WWE.com. Baszler said that she didn't beat me, I lost. So clearly this feud is not over. Main event. The last man standing match, NXT Championship for last man standing match. Tommaso Ciampa defending the title against Johnny Gargano. Now, give you a little bit of backstory here. This was supposed to be a triple threat match between Gargano, Ciampa, and Aleister Black, who was the champion before Ciampa. Ciampa beat him in what was actually a great match on NXT TV. And what happened was, at a house show, Aleister Black got crotched and injured his groin. And he had to have, not emergency, but pretty quick surgery. And the hope was he'll be ready enough to come back for the match. Sadly, he did not come back for this match. And it was made a last man standing match. Yes, Aleister Black literally got injured by busting a nut. Now, I had a good hearty laugh when I heard that. So, again, the story was these two were 1-1 against each other. Ciampa is the greatest heel in all of wrestling right now, bar none. You can make any argument you want. Ciampa is the best heel in wrestling right now. Crowd gives chance of I'm trying to be a little quiet here because my mom's in the room. But he gives crowd chance of fuck you, Ciampa. I thought that was awesome. Now, this match was a bit tricky. Let's just say it right now. This match was not nearly as good as the matches they had at Chicago or at New Orleans. Not even the match with Johnny Gargano and Andrade Cien Almas at Takeover, I believe it was Takeover Philadelphia. Ciampa, of course, arrives to no music, which I think is just fantastic. The sound, the greatest music in the world right now, sounds of hatred and contempt for Tommaso Ciampa. It's awesome. Johnny Gargano attacked during the announcements, and these guys, even though it's not as great, these guys still had a great match, a fantastic match. Several spots, but there were definitely... the problem with this match, and yes, there was the added thing of the last man standing stipulation, but the problem with this match is that it's basically somewhat of a retread of the past two matches they've had. They kept the Chicago match different enough that way, even with all the crazy stuff they did, it was different enough that I would still give it a 5-star rating. Not this match. This match definitely had some retreads. It was noticeable. Bringing out the tables, although one of them was set up upside down with the legs up, which I thought was cool. Cutting up the mat in the ring, taking apart the mat on the floor. There were definitely some callbacks to their matches. It's not, and don't get me wrong, it's not bad to have callbacks in their matches. Every time Okada and Tanahashi in New Japan have matches now, basically they're all callbacks. But that doesn't mean they're not great matches. But also their matches also are separate long enough. Before this year's G1 Climax, they didn't have a match since the G1 of 2 years ago. And that was the same year that Okada beat Tanahashi at the Wrestle Kingdom. I think it was Wrestle Kingdom 10. So, there's a long space of time in between their matches now. Ciampa and Gargano, they only have a few months apart from each other, each match. So you could tell it was they were definitely running out of new ideas here, but there was still some new stuff. There was a moment where Johnny Gargano he super kicked one of the production crew members or one of the ringside technicians or whatever on the outside. It was by the barricade where the timekeepers area is. That I thought was actually a really good callback to the match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 12, the Iron Man match. That I thought was a great spot. Ciampa then attacked him. He took the chair. He ran over to him and hit the running knee strike on the chair into Johnny Gargano through the barricade. I thought that was awesome. And in a moment of hilarity and trying to put chairs and the barricade parts on Gargano to prevent him from getting up at the count of 10, he even put the crew member that Gargano kicked only moments earlier onto him. That I thought was funny. There was another point when Ciampa, he went through the two tables that were set up by Gargano earlier in the match. The second table that was stacked on top of the first one, it was put up upside down. I already said this a second ago, but I'll say it again. It was put up upside down, and Gargano put the legs up as if it were upright, but as if he was gonna turn it over, but he didn't. I was afraid they were gonna do a suplex spot through the two tables, and they were gonna hit the legs. That would have been terrible. Thankfully, that did not happen. There are a lot of great spots in this match. Johnny Gargano, of course, he got a crutch, which of course is how the feud back in January was restarted all over again. He got the crutch and hit Ciampa with it, which, by the way, that crutch, and then what was I think it was actually through the table spot. Ciampa got the crutch and he put it up against the barricade and the floor, the mat on the floor, and he got up. That I thought was actually kind of clever. There were a lot of great spots in this match. Johnny Gargano went for 2 different suicide dives on each part of the ring. Again, that was cool. And then they went up back to the ramp. Now this is leading to the finish. They went up back to the ramp and kind of a callback to the turn last year, TakeOver Chicago 1. Gargano threw Ciampa. Now keep in mind, Ciampa, he brought out a pair of handcuffs, and that came into play in the finish. He brought out a pair of handcuffs, and he was going to handcuff Gargano, but that didn't happen. He ended up getting he ended up with one of the handcuffs on one of his arms. I think it was his left arm. Gargano threw him against the LED board, which of course was a callback to the end of DIY. The Gargano escape then soon followed. Ciampa's tapping, but of course in a last man standing match, tapping gets you nowhere. Then he beat up Ciampa more. He brought him to the edge of the stage. Now the stage, it's important to note, the stage is only a few feet level above where the actual floor is. So what Gargano did, he handcuffed Ciampa against one of the steel gates right behind the stage. I guess to prevent, crazy ass fans. But he did that, and he kept on beating the crap out of him. And the ref was trying to count him, up to 10, and then Gargano won the match. Gargano didn't care. Beating up Ciampa and trying to basically almost murder him on stage was more important to him than actually winning the match. And that came to bite him on the ass, because what happened was Gargano, and by the way, during Ciampa, he kept on apologizing. He said he was sorry, but Gargano, he doesn't care. And what happened was Gargano, and again, shades of the end of DIY, Gargano went for the running knee, which of course is one of Ciampa's finishers. He went for the running knee, and he hit Ciampa right in the head. The problem was he couldn't stop his momentum, so what happened was he basically hit Ciampa in the head, then he ran over a bunch of equipment, several boxes, onto a couple tables, and then he fell on the floor. And like I said, this came back to bite him on the ass, because what happened was the referee started counting to 10. And Gargano couldn't get up, because supposedly he hurt his knee, and on that attack, and he couldn't get up. Ciampa, on the other hand, what happened here was, because the stage is only a few feet above where the actual floor is, at the last second, he rolled onto the floor onto his feet, which was enough for him to win the match. And Gargano couldn't get up, so Ciampa beat Gargano for the NXT Championship in the Last Man Standing match. The heel wins. I thought this was a fantastic match. Now, it's also important to note the finish. Again, I say that because what happened was, supposedly, there were 2 injuries on the show. One, as EC3 put a picture up on Twitter, he got a nice shiner, a nice little bump around one of his eyes. So apparently the Dream hit him pretty good there. But the other thing to mention is that supposedly, I think it was during like a call, like a roll call or whatever, with Triple H. What happened was Johnny Gargano injured. I think he may have legitimately injured his knee. It may have been a dislocation, or it may have been a legit injury. And what Triple H said was that we basically had to rearrange or change certain things that happened in the finish last minute during the match. So basically, in some ways, they called an audible, and either the finish wasn't supposed to happen that way, or it was supposed to be a little bit different than what we did see. Either way, whatever happened with Gargano's knee, it changed whatever happened during the end of the match. And if Triple H is to be believed, and I think he's being truthful when he said that, then yeah, the match wasn't supposed to end exactly the way it did. But the general message got over. Gargano's his obsession just cost him his feud with Ciampa, which is funny because in Impact, just a couple months ago, the same thing happened with Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan. That's why Eddie Edwards is just the crazy SOB he is right now on TV. He's like the Tommy Dreamer if he was insane. And Tommy Dreamer is already crazy enough as it is. So they kind of did the same thing here. Yeah, believe it or not, NXT in some ways is copying off Impact. I never thought I would see that, but that's exactly what's happening. And like with this feud, Eddie Edwards changed a whole heck of a lot by the end of this feud with Callihan, to the point where it changed his entire character. Same thing here. Johnny Gargano is completely changed. He's completely morphed. Not completely, but he is morphed, and he is definitely more psychotic when it comes to Tommaso Ciampa, and it cost him the title. At the end of the show, we thought we were going to get another attack. Johnny Gargano was being helped up to the ramp area, right before where the stage is. We see the credits on the little corner of the screen. Ciampa comes out yet again, raises the belt, and that's how we ended off the show. I thought this show was awesome. I thought this match was fantastic. Not as good as the other matches, because we've seen certain parts of these before. So there's very little they could have done here, but still, even with that said, these guys still went out and had a fantastic match. Weakest of the 3 matches? Yes. Bad? Absolutely not. This match was friggin' awesome. I mean, my lord, these guys went out there and again tore each other apart. And I love the story they're building here, that Gargano is so obsessed that he can't see past the... Basically, he can't see past what's going on, and all he wants to see is basically Gargano, Ciampa murdered right in front of him, and it just cost him. And if Gargano is hurt legitimately, then give the feud a few months off. Have Aleister Black come back. His injury is not like, you know, like deathly or like long term. It's supposed to be a short term injury, supposedly. But you know, he's probably going to be dealing with something. So deal with someone else. Have Ciampa go up against somebody else, and I think they'll probably do a pretty good job with Ciampa facing off against whoever his next challenger is. So with that being said, guys. This was NXT Takeover Brooklyn IV. A great show. We're not going to get Brooklyn V next year. They're going to be taping it somewhere else. We're end up getting... Well, I guess we are going to get Brooklyn V, but not as a SummerSlam show, but as a WrestleMania show. That's the scuttlebutt. Because, of course, you know, WrestleMania is taking place in the New York area next year. So, of course, Takeover is going to take place next year. So, we don't know yet. Anyway, guys, this was a great show. Before I go, I want to give a quick shout-out to XX Prince. He is a wrestling YouTuber reviewer like myself. He won my Royal Rumble contest earlier this year. Check out his channel below. He just reviewed both SummerSlam and Brooklyn IV. I will be reviewing SummerSlam tomorrow. Why not tonight? Well, Monday Night Raw is on the next 15 minutes, so I'm just going to give myself a breather for a few minutes and then watch Raw. Because I'm probably going to be putting a gun to my head when I'm watching it. Not that I even have guns, but you get what I mean. So, check him out. He makes some pretty good videos, similar to what I do, just shorter. I'm more detailed. He's more, you know, quick and kind of, he speeds right through it. I'm more detailed about it and more about my thoughts. So, with that said, guys, check him out, and you'll probably enjoy it. Check out my ratings if you want to see what my ratings are. My overall rating is of the show in the description box down below. Be well, stay safe, have a good day. I'll see you later with my SummerSlam review. Until next time, guys, peace.